Hello, welcome to episode 6, season 2 of Talkie Talk. We've won a game and it was absolutely beautiful football, as I'm sure we're going to go into. I'm joined by Chris.
Hi, all, you right?
Yeah, Dom's on holiday in the rain in Cornwall. And I'm joined by Tom, who was there yesterday.
Evening, lads. You're right.
Yeah, good. So, Tom, take us through it.
Oh, well, very similar to Halifax, I would say. Maybe not as stressful in that regard, the amount of shots that they had compared to us, but it was a very good defensive rearguard performance, I think, is being politically correct about it. We had the kickoff, gave it away straight away, and you just think, oh no, it's going to be, one of them games. But got the early goal, got him on the counter. Good play, and it was. Then we seemed quite happy to let them have the ball for large periods, but to be frank, they didn't do much with it in that regard, and we seemed quite comfortable letting them sort of dictate play. Second half started a bit better, had a bit more about us, and thank God Goodwin's effort went in, because it was an ugly sort of strike from 25 yards out, took a deflection, hit the post and just crept in. And it turned out we needed that second goal, because once again, Southend came at us, survived a few scares. It was looking like we were going to concede at some point. And so to concede on the 86th minute, of course, it couldn't be stress-free being a Torquay fan. And we really had to hold on that final sort of 8-9 minutes we had. Lovett made some good saves.
Good.
The defence rock solid. I think on another day, maybe a better team would have punished us. But it was good to see that we bounced back from the Woking game. And I think that's an important win for us, because we could have so easily collapsed like we did against Woking. But we held firm, got the 3 points and sent the 120 Yellow Army home happy. And good defensive performance, I'd say.
Yeah, no, it just sounds like expected, really. I was actually in Burn It Down Festival in Torquay during that game, and somehow I ended up in a death metal place in the last 20 minutes. So all I had was WhatsApps from my dad saying 2-1. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be 2-2. So whilst you're all like panicking over radio, I've just got someone screaming in my face and those of goths going, no, I was having a great time. Yeah. No, it's a difficult one, because for me, I still think the same as I said the last few weeks, in the fact that it's going to be a tough season. I think Torquay's season, but I also believe we're going to get better. I did an episode right when we started this. I think it's after we drew 1-1 at Willstone. Like, it's when I was solo, before I got the band together, before you all started joining me. Thank God that happened. And I was just sat in this room, going on about how it's a rebuilding season. I was thinking about that earlier. And at the time, it was like, oh, this is a rebuilding season. Well, how it wasn't, though. That was the thing. Last season was the end of an era. This is a rebuilding season. Because obviously, realistically, Little, McDonald, Lewis, Lemon Evans, all them lot. I was hoping that 1 or 2 would stay, but they weren't. They were at the end of an era. Where this is the start of an era now. So obviously a lot are on 2-year deals, which is, of course, it's a gamble, but it's a plan. And under Johnson, I only believe they'll get better. Do I think right now we're up to standard? No. Am I disappointed still about the lack of just footballing creative talent? Yes. But we can do some of the basics, right? And I think, as long as we keep doing that, Aldershot's massive, isn't it? Like, we lose Aldershot or we just scrape a draw, you're just thinking, oh dear. But if we beat Aldershot, thinking it's like last season again, we're just mid-table at the start. I don't know what you think, Chris. Do you think similar, or from the first?
Yeah, I think it very much depends. We talked about the glass half full, whole half empty a couple of weeks ago, last time I was with you guys. And I think that's how you look at it. You can look at it one of two ways. You can look at, we've scraped 2 wins away from home, where fundamentally we've been battered in both the games, and that's not good, because we're not winning games in the sense of being better than the opposition. But equally, as the point that Gary made in his interview after the game last night, I thought his tone was interesting, because he was kind of, you could sense the relief, but you could also kind of feel that got to be better than that. In him as well. So I think, and I think that's the point. I mean, the good thing is we've got. I mean, obviously, I've missed the last couple of games, and I think certainly the Woking game sounds like having got ahead to then lose that game is a real
Because of course, scoring goals was the big challenge, wasn't it? So as soon as you score, you think, well, all we've got to do is then hold it out for 25 minutes, whatever. But I think yesterday again shows the highlight. Shows the importance. Something we talked about last year was getting that second goal, as Tom said he was there, because at 2-0,
and getting that early goal as well.
Yeah, early goal.
Yeah.
Early goal, second goal, it's always so important because it just changes the shape of the games, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That second goal is all important. But I think in terms of, there's no doubt, and Gary said it before the game, didn't he, that, this team have got to play better and they will get better as they play together. But again, as he said after the game, you've got Martin, you've got Asa, you've got Jarvis, who came on, all coming back from long-term injuries. And this, I would question, I was talking to somebody at work the other week, actually, who's an Exeter fan, around this lack of a reserve side. And I think that, even if, because I didn't know, but Exeter aren't in a reserve league of any structure either now. So you would have thought that us, Exeter and Plymouth, because somehow we could get something together, so we could look at some youngsters in the the Painted Academy. Exeter have, Exeter have got an excellent academy. You'd have thought we'd be able to get some game time into these players because he's used the phrase. He uses this phrase, people getting fit in matches. Well, I get that. The only way you're going to get match fit in the intensity of playing in the National League is to play in the National League. But you'd have thought there'd be better ways of doing it because we need these players back, fit, contributing and making us better.
Yeah.
I think the good thing about yesterday was, I think the players that were missing, the key ones you could argue were Lapsley and Halstead. But like I said, we had Jarvis back, and I'm excited by what he's got to offer. He held the ball up well in his brief appearance. He's a physical player. He's almost sort of the Danny Wright sort of mould.
But he's also got pace on him as well. That's the thing.
He's got great pace. Yeah. So I'm excited to see whether he links up with Andrews or whether Goodwin, or depends what formation Gary sees with Jarvis. But it's good to see that the likes of Martin, Ace is getting back into it. So we're definitely getting our sort of strong first team back. Obviously we are still developing as a squad, and I'd like to think that we'll get better. I still think we will get better, like you said, Sam. But when you've lost 4 in a row, you just got to win. You don't care how ugly the wins are. I referenced it a few weeks ago. Like, I don't care if we win ugly as long as we win. And
especially
I think what's interesting as well is something we talked about last season a lot, is I think this may sound odd, but I think overall this squad will be stronger. The problem we had last year was that we had a strong 11, and the drop off as soon as we had a series of injuries, which happened on several occasions, it was night and day, and those reserve players just weren't functioning. But as you mentioned there, Goodwin, Andrews, and Jarvis, if those 3 stay fit and they can interchange and they can play well, there'll be some scenarios where you'll probably want to get all 3 in the same team. There'll be some where you'll probably have 1 in the team. Depending on who you're playing, where you are, what the tactic is. But I think, we just need a period of time where these guys are fit and they can train day in, day out, and they can play in matches, and they can learn how each other plays and be cohesive and get better as a group. Because I was looking at the fixtures, and the fixtures this month are pretty tough. Aldershot must win, no doubt. Solihull at home is tough. They'll be tough. Then we've got 2 difficult away games against sides who are in the top 5 at this stage, in Wilston and Wrexham. But then in October, we've then got a series of games that you'd look at and go, oh, I fancy a few of those, Maidenhead, York, games like that. You think, a few of that. So I think September we can pick up some points, but we've just got to keep people fit. We've got to get the group fit.
I think I referenced it in the match report that I wrote. It's a good win. It was a good win yesterday. Pardon the pun. But it probably will mean nothing if we can't follow that with a win against Aldershot.
I agree. I agree.
They won, didn't they, on Saturday? So it's not going to be, again, there's no easy games in the National League this season. But we've got to win on Saturday. We've got to start picking this form up and get a few more wins under our belt. I agree. So, you look at Solihull, Wrexham. Okay, you could probably be optimistic. Maybe you'd like a point at home to Solihull. And Wrexham, I don't know, we've been a bit of a bogey side for them recently, but
But I also think in general, I think we need to sort our home form out. Every successful side, any side that does anything at any level ever, has a solid home record. So what have we got so far? A point from 3 home games?
Yeah. Even last season when we were bad, when we were struggling, we were still a class above the really bottom teams.
Yeah, the dross. Yeah.
So I remember even when we were bad, we beat Woolstone 5-0. Who obviously have a good side this season, but that just doesn't that result yesterday, that Aldershot result yesterday, just kind of sum up the league. Aldershot had lost 5 out of 6. I think I'm right in saying before that game. Really struggling. They had a couple of tank-ins as well.
And then you got Barnet, who were in the top 2, had one of the better starts, were winning games, scoring goals, and then they go and get beaten there. And you think, well, how does that work?
Yeah. Well, Southend, I think Southend won the last 2 home games before we played them. So again, it just goes to show that on your day, any team can pick up a result, and it's just that it's being consistent. You just got to pick up points.
And that title race as well was going to be mad this year. It was good last year.
Yeah.
How long goes that? I don't know.
You look at the top 5 and it's already sort of ominous. Like that's probably going to be the top 5 that's going to be up there. I mean, not that that pair from Gateshead who signed there, blimey, like they've kicked off, haven't they, straight away? And I think they'll do well. But
just getting someone that wasn't Birchnell would probably help, to be fair. So,
but again, but if you look at those players Notts County brought in, I might be wrong. I haven't studied them in a great detail, but I'm pretty sure in saying they haven't got many injuries. They've got these lads who've come in from a lower level. Sure, they've come in, they've paid big money. There's clearly potential there. They've paid money for both, I think I'm right in saying. And they've come in, hit the ground running, and scored goals.
We paid for Hansen.
Yeah, absolutely. But in general, but the point I'm making is they're playing, aren't they? They've come in and they're playing. So they're already working out how Rodriguez plays and how they bring the wing backs in and how the midfield players work and the way that, because they're scoring goals, they scored another 5 yesterday, didn't they? I mean, they are flying, and that's the difference. I think, which is why I think in a month's time, we've had a month of this group being fit. We're in a much better position just from them playing together.
We are still, sorry Sam, but we are lacking width and pace still, and I think if we can get a couple of pacey players in on loan somewhere,
that's frustrating me.
And that's going to make our team better. We are still screaming out for that, pacey players on the wings.
Who stood out yesterday? Obviously, I've heard the centre backs got rave reviews. Who stood out?
Ali Omar was my man of the match, and he's been picked in the
National League Team of the Day as well.
Paper.
Maybe Tommy knows what he's talking about, then Sam.
Absolute rock at the back. Like compared to the player he was last season, he was amazing. The whole defence deserves credit, really. I mean, yes, it was a bit at times, but Dean Moxey, I thought he's turned into the Ben Winter, Mr. Consistent. Like I thought he was very good. Love it. Made some really good saves, and it's quite reassuring to know that we've got 2 capable keepers at this level.
I was gonna say that. That's good.
And it's almost like now the Sean and the Corf situation we had possibly a few seasons ago, where you could probably argue that they're both good enough that number 1 spot. I think Lovett. I mean, he did well. I mean, he couldn't do anything about their goal. He made some really smart saves.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a good keeper in the future.
Just needs to get a little bit more commanding off his line, doesn't he? I can't comment on yesterday's game, but he just needs more games, and he will hopefully get that.
What was the cohesion like amongst the midfield players yesterday, Tom?
It was better. We went 4-4-2 today, so it looks like Gary's dropped the 3-5-2, but we definitely looked a bit more assured in the midfield.
It was a pairing. Was it?
McGowan. Yeah, I'm trying to think now. We had Wyatt on. Yeah. They were
master midfield then.
Yeah, it was
Wyatt left, and then
Wyatt left, Crow right, Omar and Moxie, and then Marshall in midfield more.
Yeah, I believe so. From what I can remember.
Good post-match, was it?
Yeah. But to be honest, it was difficult because I didn't have a lot of time to sort of get the ball forward. It was very much, Southend's got it. It was down their end. A lot of it was on the counter. The front pairing, Goodwin and Andrews, they linked up well. I mean, poor Andrews, he just needs a goal. Really does. He should have killed it when, he had a chance at 2-0 to kill the game, and he hit it wide and was then subbed off for Jarvis. And, a good win. It was just good for him to get a goal, because hopefully now that we'll see him push on and raise his confidence.
Andrews did well for the first goal. I saw it on Southend.
That might have been going in as well.
Yeah. But there was a lot of, I'd say 7, 8 out of 10s for the team, even though it was a bit hard to watch at times. It was a very good overall team performance, and it sort of harped back to the beginning, where it looks like we're going to be a tough side to break down when we are, fully fit. I mean, the Woking game was, shambles to go 1-0 up and 15 minutes later be 3-1 down. But it's good that they've sort of learnt from that, and they've put it to good use on the pitch. We're not perfect, and I don't think we're going to be perfect. But just to grind out a 2-1 away win like that is going to be good for morale, and it's a morale boosting win that we need.
I think the next stage as well, which is also important, is that and you say about the midfield players. I mean, what I've seen of Hansen, it's not a popular view, but he looks like a really good footballer to me. He's got a good brain. He sees things. But if you think about the games we've played, we need to dominate a game. We haven't dominated a game. Yes, we've won a couple of games on the road, but we haven't. We need to dominate a game at home because if you think about the size we've played at home, Oldham first day was all a bit harem scarum here, there, and everywhere. You look at Boreham Wood, who played more football than I've seen them play before, and are big and strong. You look at Woking, who like to have a lot of the football, which obviously Gary said again yesterday. We let Southend have the ball, but as you just said, they didn't do a great deal with it. So we need to have a game at home against a side who will almost let us have the ball and say, "Well, come on then." And then you can see people like hopefully people like McGavin and Hansen can dictate the tempo of the game, which we've not seen much of. A lot of it has been kind of holding the ball, breaking, trying to get people forward, as opposed to again, not harping back to former players, but you think about when Little, Lemon, Hay Evans, people like that were playing well, the tempo and the way that they would dominate the football in midfield. We've not really had a game like that yet, so hopefully we can get one of these 2 home games coming up to a situation where we're dominating the play to then be able to kind of play the game on our terms a bit more. Whereas it's all been a bit kind of basketball-y at times in these games.
It's like I was harping on at the start of the season. Like, you look at the fixture list when it came out, it's like, they're tough games to get going, especially with a brand new 10. So, I agree with you, Chris. I think we need a good home game where we're going to have more of the ball, be a bit more dominant with it, and hopefully that'll come soon. Hopefully that'll be Aldershot on Saturday. But my glass is definitely more than half full, I'd say, from what compared to what we've played recently. Yes, it wasn't a nice game to watch from a Torquay perspective, but overall, so you have to grind these wins out, and it's the second time now that we've done that away from home. Halifax was really ugly. This was ugly as well, but not as ugly as Halifax. But we got to be Aldershot. Just have to, otherwise it doesn't really mean much, to be honest.
And there were a lot of questions after the Woking game, weren't there, as well, around the mentality when you lose a lead and basically capitulate, quite like we did in that game. You could see it happening again almost. I mean, imagine if we'd conceded twice in the last 4 minutes plus injury time to lose. You'd have taken a point before the game, wouldn't you? But imagine if that again, then you'd be questioning the mentality again. And are these lads mentally strong? Can they stick their head in when it hurts and all that? So for them to have withstood that, hopefully, again, mentally will stand them in good stead moving forward.
I mean, I went in with zero confidence that we were going to win. I was just like,
I'm just looking at my notes. I'm sorry, go on. Yeah.
I was going to say 0-0 would have done me perfectly. So
I'm
away with a 2-1 win. And to be fair to the Southend fans that I bumped into at full time, there was one who was a bit, but the rest of them, they were like, that's football. Some days you have games like that and you win, and some days you lose, and it just wasn't to be for them today. And it seems like the story of their season at the moment is they make chances, they just don't do anything with them. At least that's what I've read online on social media. But again, it's crucial that we score more than one goal in games, because if you don't,
it's the early goal,
isn't it?
That was the key. Just look at my notes. So I think when you say about half glass full and all that, I think for me, I just see it from a long-term point of view right now, and I think that's where I get my positives from. I think short term it's going to be a worry, but and that width and pace problem is an issue. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of Torquay fans disagree with me on this one, and I, in some extent, sort of disagree with myself. And so I see it like right now, obviously, Torquay United should be in the Football League, but times have changed. I'm not saying we should accept that, and obviously we all know it should be in League Two from a couple of years ago. But there's a lot of other teams right now who are paid and all done that. It'll come up every episode, we're just going to deal with it. We pay a lot more on that, and we shouldn't be expected just to be at the top now. Because at the end of the day, Gary Johnson's and his brother and Aaron Downs and probably a few of the coach staff are the only football people in this club now, as I touched on last week, and we're not a well-run club. Like we excel in some wages, but some stages. But if you look at other teams right now, even your Willstones, how the infrastructure those clubs are putting in. So we've got to sort of go back to the drawing board and have this 2-year plan, as we call it, where Gary Johnson started, and just build on it. We are not a team now that can just build a new team and put loads of good players in place. We have to mould these players. And I think that's what I'm going to be saying all season, sadly. And it's annoying because you don't want to go be at how many games we're in, 6 or 7, or where you'd be like, Christ, I'll take being away from. We shouldn't be taking being away from relegation. That's just not good enough. It should be mid-table at least. But honestly, we'll do well to turn it around like we did last season. For me, still short term, because we had like Armani Little scoring 14, assisting 16 overall. Did he do something like that?
Something crazy, yeah.
Where's that?
I just want us to be competitive. At this stage, just as long as we're not being hammered every week by the smaller teams in the division.
Like we were under the Nicholson era. I'm not saying it's all Nicholson's fault, but just that era where it's just.
I mean, let's look at it really. Like we had a good season in the National League South eventually once we got going.
Yeah.
And that, during the COVID, during COVID we got that one. Yeah. Other than that, have we really had exciting seasons? Not really.
The first one back in was so mixed, wasn't it? At the start, it was like we're going up. By the end of it, we lost because of injuries. We lost so many games on the row, and then we kind of were just average, and then COVID happened. And then,
I think
it takes a while.
I think most Torquay fans know that this is definitely a rebuilding process for us.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, you get the odd few that if we don't win every game, then Johnson's got to go, and it's just come on, it's going to take time. We're limited financially compared to other clubs in this division. There are some big clubs in this division, and with only 2 promotion spots, it's nigh on impossible. Even when you have a really good season, you could end up not.
Yeah, I still think we should be building a top half team. Really, I still think if we come 14th, 15th, and there's still room for next season. Some Torquay fans even take 14th, 15th right now, to be fair, after some of the results. But
it's still too early to be thinking it's still too early to be saying that, because we could win.
Exactly.
We got 2 home games coming up. We could win these next 2 home games and be 8th in the league.
That's what I feel.
Where you come back to injuries again. It's interesting to say here we played a much flatter system yesterday because pace has been the one thing that's been crying out. I mean, it's good. I noticed it was Wyatt who put the cross in for the first goal, but you talk about pace, but in a 3-5-2 system, you don't need pace out wide because that's not what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
So if we're playing 4 in midfield again now, then you do need pace, which is where Issa Gwenz, I noticed didn't come off the bench. This Tommy Hughes we've signed wasn't even on the bench at all. And you think, well, pace in a flat 4 becomes important because you can't be playing players like Hansen and people that are out
How
wide.
did Evans play yesterday?
A little bit. And again, he's another one.
Yeah, I think he had a better game.
Was he on the wing?
Or was he drifting? I think he sort of transitioned a bit from the wing and then
that's what I'm saying.
More to the middle.
What I'm saying last week.
Yeah, I think he had a good game, to be honest. I can't recall, being like, oh, he's another player with potential. I keep saying that word, but he's another player that's got that potential to be, a star player for us and into the future. Yeah, I don't think. Again, everyone was solid, pretty much yesterday, and again, it was a very good team performance all round. I do think there's more for Evans to show.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one of those games where we need to be on the ascendancy at home against a low, a slow end side. But I think it's probably the best game that I've seen him play live. I mean, I've only seen 3 games this season, so I'm not, claiming that I know every game and how people perform. But I think he did all right. Yeah, I didn't have many complaints.
I get the impression from kind of a couple of things he said and kind of the demeanour goes, I get the impression that Gary's not that enthralled with what he's seen so far, whether he thought he was going to get more than what he's seen, maybe. Because, I mean, on the face of it, it looks like a good sign, doesn't it? He was playing games in the Championship this time last year. Now he's kind of been very much in and out of our side, but I mean, he technically looks a good footballer.
I don't think he's been put in his main position, though.
23s or whatever. Exactly. But the one thing I was just about to say is I've looked at him and you think, well, what is his position? Where does he play? Where he's going to be the most effective? And I think that's a question that I don't think we found the answer to. And again, maybe in a 4 midfield, playing behind, more in an advanced position might be it, and it suits him better than a 3-5-2 system. Maybe.
I thought, I know he's got the same name, well, half the same name, but I thought he's actually going to be another Lemon Evans. I thought he was going to be playing off a striker. Don't know if I made it up. I thought that was his position.
Again, but with all these things, confidence is key, isn't it? You look at lads like Hansen, McGavin, Evans, all those lads in midfield. Confidence is key, which is where I think the Aldershot game is important. We need to have a game where we dominate the ball, we win the game well by 2 or 3 goals. We're not hanging on for dear life like we have been doing, because we've just won a game, and the confidence will come for these players. And these are fundamentally young kids, aren't they? They're youngsters finding their way in professional football in a really tough league. So I think actually, that also has to be considered. Actually, we are winning a couple of games just whilst all this beds in, which has got to be a positive.
And that was the thing last season, wasn't it? We had such a good home record, especially sort of second half of the season. It became a really tough place to come to Plainmoor, and we definitely need to rekindle that if we're going to have a chance of, finishing in the top 7.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice to have a game where there's just no stress. I know this is Torquay United, and that's not impossible. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think, Goodwin's goal, for example, the celebrations. Oh man, that was such a relief for him. You can see how much of a weight off the shoulders that was for him.
And he's deserved it as well. He
absolutely.
I think for the first 5 minutes of the first game when he almost broke the crossbar against Oldham, and he's had chances, hasn't he? But a lot's been expected again. A lot's been expected of him. 19-year-old lad, first senior, loan. He's been playing up front on his own basically in a lot of the games, and that's a lot for a kid like that. So he's done well. He's worked hard. He's shown quality. He's shown fight. Desire for the shirt, hasn't he? And now he's got his goal, which you could see in his interview on the website last night how pleased he was, and hopefully it's a situation whereby he'll get one leads to several. Hopefully,
I think just stick with it, Yellow Army. We'll get better. I'm confident we'll get better as the season goes on. There'll be some pain along the way. I'm sure some of the bigger clubs will probably have too much for us, but I do think there's a good team in there, and once we get going and everyone's had a few games where there's been no injuries and we're playing our strongest 11, then we should be. I would be disappointed if we're not top half come the end of October, say. As long as we're sort of chasing, because I think that's where we are, to be honest, at the moment. We're not going to be good enough right now for playoffs, but I do think we should be minimum aiming for top half, especially by October. But again, it's like Chris said a few weeks ago, Gary said, judge me after 10 games.
Yeah.
And we're 7 games in now? It's or maybe not 50-50, maybe like 40-60. It's not been the great start, but I am seeing signs that there's a good team there, and fingers crossed we'll pick up a win against Aldershot. Who knows, we might pick up something against Solihull. Probably won't, but you never know. That's the beauty of the National League. You can have a really bad couple of games and then lose 4 on the trot, then we might win the next 4. So
no,
you've got to say confidence is massive, isn't it? A win like that on Saturday might just mean that flicks a switch, and I know it makes me feel better going to work all week when we've won a game. So imagine you're the players.
We've got
going into training every week.
We've got to kick on going into Aldershot. That's a game we have to win. There's no way about it.
No, absolutely. And it's a game we can win, of course we can. Historically, we've always had ding-dongs with Aldershot. There's always been plenty of goals, hasn't there? But it's a game we've got to turn up and win, isn't it?
I would just be so disappointed if we get there. The football's awful. There's no imagination. We slip to a defeat. Honestly, that's when I start to be like, oh, okay, this is starting to be quite dangerous for us.
You don't want to lose the support.
Then you get another good result there, and then it's kind of football, which I'm not really a fan of. People say, oh yeah, when it works, it's hilarious and that. But I just don't think there's any longevity with it, really. It's good to be able to win ugly, but you also need to play football at the same time. You have to get that balance. And I'm sure we'll find it. But if we Aldershot though, and then you turn up to those sort of teams and you're matching them well, and we're a bit more streetwise, as they say, then we'll be okay. That's a good thing to go. We have to be Aldershot. And I'm not saying that Aldershot are in the literally same boat as us. So I'm not saying that we're talking we're going to be Aldershot, they're rubbish, because we have not made the best of start, but we need to win that game.
Absolutely.
But anything we want to add? Oh yeah, we haven't got ourselves cancelled. Dom's sweating. He's probably been sweating the whole episode, going, "Oh my god, I can say something when I'm not there." Oh no, I feel like it's like when the teacher's not there.
He should have had more faith, shouldn't he? He should have had more faith in us.
Yeah. Hi, Dom. But anything else? I think we've ran its course. Covered anything?
Yeah. I was just wondering if we was mentioned this debate that's opened up about streaming again, which I thought was interesting. I was just reading it's interesting to see the points on it actually around the fact that they could be paying a lip service, but the National League statement seems to suggest they are giving it some consideration. But
they won't do it.
I think there's a part of me that thinks. There's a part I genuinely don't know what I think. In that I think that there's a part of me that says, well, actually, what's the harm? If you charge the same admittance price as you do for the stream as you do for going into the game, then part of me says, but actually, when you think about programs, food, drinks, day out for the attendances, and all of that,
I was having
it's got to be more, but equally, but of course, what you never know as a fan, which I guess clubs could tell you if they were that way inclined, is what's the difference in if it goes ahead is. What is the trade-off between the additional people who attend the games to the people? Because you think back to COVID. I wanted to go to the games, but I couldn't. So I engaged with it online in a way I know a lot of people struggle to. But actually, I was still paying £10 to go to watch the games, and I know a lot of the away games. There were more Torquay fans than there were home fans at a lot of them. So actually, what's to say that wouldn't still happen?
I see. I'm still sick at this season, but even if I wasn't, I'd still be going to every home game because I enjoy being at football matches. I don't personally choose to go to away games just because I've got other things going on and I kind of do them when Torquay away. I would love to do it an away day. I love away days. But if this came in, I'd buy and watch every away game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think that's the thing.
That's getting more thing.
And there were some away games.
People love going to games. So especially at this level.
I can't imagine a situation whereby I would think, I'd love to go. Actually, I won't bother staying and watch the stream. There'll be somewhere maybe you might think about that, but I've been there before. I won't bother. But
weather.
But you don't know that in advance, do you?
Yeah, but I still think a lot of people, like I know, because we live in an area where a lot of people move away. So and they sort of go, I know a lot of family that would watch it. They'll watch every game they kids. So.
I mean, I'm based in Sussex, and as much as it'd be great to stream every game. There's nothing like being there live for me. I mean, yes, okay, we're going to be we're in a cost of living crisis, so I can sort of see it from that respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if it wasn't for Reynolds and the Wrexham owners bringing this up, I mean, if any other chairman owners brought this up, would they really be looking into it?
And I have to say, fair play to them too as well. Like, I know this is obviously going to benefit them more than any other club because they will get more people watching randomly. But I think they're fine, and fair enough. They've got an idea. They're respecting the league still as much as you can do. They're respecting the clubs like us around it. Fair play to them.
But I think ultimately this, and of course, what I guess there'll need to be a degree of transparency when they meet to discuss this later this month is around actually what's the decision making based on? Is it a moral decision to not do it because actually you want to you don't want to want to encourage people to be attending football matches, but like it was, I mean, I've just been on holiday abroad, and I watched some matches. I watched Premier League game at 3:00 on a Saturday afternoon, and that feels really weird. But yet you go somewhere in Spain where I was, and you could watch virtually every game, and it's just to us it's really alien. But actually, unless
that rule, rule needs to be scrapped. I know, I know it's for armchair fans, but it still needs to be scrapped. I'm sorry,
but I wonder if it's going to be a moral thing or a financial thing. Is this purely based on money? And if clubs can evidence they'll make more money, they'll go with it, or is this about people going to football matches?
It's just more opportunity for clubs to have such dodgy streams. Looking at you, Yeovil Town, I still remember that horrible stream that they gave us,
and then we got done in the last 5 minutes.
Covenant upset them. I remember that. That's when we cost our title. I reckon that's when it started, isn't it?
That I think the thing about that as well is we kind of laughed about that because that was the time we were in, wasn't it? Kind of, as a Torquay supporter, some of the rubbish streams were kind of
it was part of the
life we were in, weren't we?
You're paying like tenner. You're paying your tenner, and you're like, is this going to go through? And then you're like having an argument with their support why you can't see like their away game. But I'm all for it personally. I don't see what there is to lose.
I think I am in general. Yeah, I think I am in general. I think again, financially, it has to make sense. You would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
all I'm going to say, because I know time's limited now, is get yourself down to Playmore on Saturday. Cheer the lads on.
Yeah.
They deserve a good atmosphere.
If it goes a bit wrong, still get behind them because they're a good set of lads. It might be struggling, man, but they are not like I've seen talking teams before where they don't care. They really are invested in the club and they're invested in the project. So they're trying. And I know that's a bare minimum, but still. you really wanted to do well with it like that.
I'll see you guys on Saturday then. 'Cause I'm making the trip down.
You actually
We'll visit for the world. Yeah, too right.
You're in the pop side.
Of course.
See
Where
you
else
there.
would I be?
See you there. See you there. Cool. Right. Cheers. Thank you for watching. See you in a bit. See you next week.